Hello students, this is Kanika. Welcome to my channel Prep Biology. Today we will start Unit 1 of Class 12th Biology, that is reproduction. In this unit, today we will start with the chapter number 1, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. This is class 1 of this series. In this class, we will talk about flower, that is fascinating organ of angiosperms. We will understand about the structure of flower, function of each part of flower, and types of flower. So let's start with the lecture. First of all, parts of flower. We have two main parts, that is essential parts, which is also known as reproductive parts, and second one is the non-essential part, which is called non-reproductive parts. Essential parts are those parts which directly involved in the reproduction. That's why it is called reproductive parts. In this category, we have two subparts, male reproductive part and female reproductive part. This is all about essential parts. Now, what are non-essential parts? Non-essential parts are also important for the flower, but they do not directly involve in reproduction. Okay, that's why they are called non-reproductive parts. Let's see the structure of flower. We have LS of flower. First of all, let's understand about what is the meaning of LS. LS means longitudinal section of a flower. What does this means? Longitudinal section means, suppose if this is a flower and we cut this part along the length. If we cut the flower along the length like this, that is vertically, that section is called the longitudinal section. If we cut any flower vertically, we have this kind of structure. This is these all parts are internally present. Okay, so this is called the longitudinal section. We have another section, that is the TS of flower. If TS is given, that what is the meaning of the TS? TS is the transverse section. Is it clear? Transverse section means when we cut any flower horizontally, that is across the length, that section is called the transverse section. But in your syllabus, you have the longitudinal section. Okay, let's talk about the longitudinal section of a flower. Okay, now see the structure, that is the LS of flower. We have this kind of structure. I am making this part, okay, and along with this we have this kind of structure. Okay, so this is the structure we get when we cut longitudinally. Is it clear? This is very important structure. Now let's see the different parts. We have first of all the stalk of the flower. This stalk of the flower is called the pedicel. This stalk of the flower is called the pedicel. See, this is the pedicel. Now, the terminal part of the stalk, which is swollen in nature, this part is called the thalamus. This part is called the thalamus. Is it clear? Pedicel and the thalamus. Along with the thalamus, the leafy structure, the small leafy structure is called the sepal. These small structures are called the sepals. Okay? And the colored part of the flower, these called are the petals. This is called as the petals. Is it clear? Okay. These all parts, pedicel, thalamus, sepal and petal comes under non-essential parts. Is it clear? These are not reproductive, non-reproductive parts. That is non-essential parts, which is called petals, sepals, thalamus and pedicel. Now, let's see the reproductive parts. Reproductive parts. If we see the reproductive parts, we have male part and the female part. Is it clear? Male part and the female part. Let's see the male part first. Male part contains two structures, anthers and filament. And female part contains three structures, stigma, style and ovary. Is it clear? Male part is anther and filament. Female parts are stigma, style and ovary. Let's see the structure of the flower. Okay, so this is the LS of flower. We have petals, sepals. Okay, now the reproductive parts are, this part is called the male reproductive part. And if we see in this structure, we have this kind of structure. These are called the anthers and the stalk of the anther is called the filament. Is it clear? So this is the male reproductive part. Collectively, they are called the stamen. They are called the stamen. And let's talk about the female part. This flask-like structure is called the female. This structure is called the female part. Okay. Now, the uppermost part is called the stigma. The part that joins stigma and ovary, that is called the style. And the globular part, that is called the ovary. This is the female reproductive structure. Inside the ovary, we have female gametophytic organ that is called the ovule. Is it clear? Which helps in the reproduction. And collectively this part is called the pistil or carpel. Pistil or carpel. Am I clear? Now, let's discuss about some important terms. We have studied about sepal, petals, stamen and pistil. If there are the group of sepals, then it is called the calyx. Group of petals, then it is called the corolla. Group of stamen, that is called the androecium. This is very important term, androecium. That is the male reproductive part. And the group of pistil, that is called the gynoecium. That is the female reproductive part. These all terms are very important, so make sure you will note it down. Now let's discuss about the function of male reproductive part, that is the stamen or androecium. We have studied they have anther and the filament part. What is the function of anther? The anther produces and release pollen grains. This is very important. Anther, this structure we studied. Inside the anther, we have number of male gametophyte, that is called the pollen grains. This is very important. Anther contains the pollen grains. That is the male gametophyte. What is filament? Filament supports the anther and holding it in position for the pollination. Okay. So filament, what is the function? This is the stalk of the anther which supports the anther. Okay. Now pollen grains, which contains the male gametes. Okay, these are the small, that is microscopic grains carrying the male gametes for fertilization. So anther contains multiple pollen grains, and pollen grains, those are the tiny or microscopic grains carrying the male gametes for the fertilization. Now let's study about the functions of the female reproductive system, that is the pistil or gynoecium. Okay. So we have stigma, style and ovary part. What is stigma? Let's make this structure of the pistil. This is the stigma. What is the function of the stigma? It receives the pollen and initiate the fertilization process. So stigma, what is the function of the stigma? It receives the pollen grains. The pollen grains firstly attached on the stigma part and then go inside the ovary. Is it clear? So which part receives the pollen grain first? That is the stigma part. Now style. Style connects the stigma to the ovary where fertilization occurs. So this is the style part. So style which connect the stigma and the ovary part. And ovary, this is the ovary, and inside the ovary we have number of ovules. So look at this picture. So inside the ovary we have small number of the ovules. Ovary contains ovules which develop into the seeds after the fertilization. Is it clear to you all? I hope this is clear. Now, one important term, very important term we have, that is the perianth. Perianth or tepal. This is the non-essential part. Is it clear? So what is perianth? Perianth is made up of calyx and corolla. What is calyx? Calyx is group of sepals, and what is corolla? That is group of petals. So what do you mean by perianth or tepal? Perianth or tepal, when calyx and corolla are fused with each other, that is, they are not distinguishable from each other, that part is called the perianth. Okay, so look at here, this is the tepal. Okay, so when sepal and petals are fused with each other, they are not distinguishable from each other, this part is called the perianth or tepal. Okay, it surrounds the reproductive parts of the flower. Okay, it forms the envelope surrounding the reproductive parts of the flower. Is it clear? Perianth is very important term. Now let's talk about some more important terms regarding this lecture, that is the types of flower. We have two types, complete flower or perfect flower, and second type is incomplete or imperfect flower. What is complete flower? When all the four whorls are present in the flower. What are all the 4 whorls, sepal, petal, stamen and pistil. Okay. So when all the 4 whorls are present in a flower, that flower is called complete or perfect flower. Now, what do you mean by incomplete or imperfect flower? When one of the whorl is missing, that is called the imperfect or incomplete flower. Is it clear? Now we have some more terms. Those terms are very important. First is, what do you mean by bisexual or monoecious or hermaphrodite flower? Bisexual, monoecious and hermaphrodite flower are the flower which have both male and female part in a flower. That is the complete flower. Okay. So what is bisexual flower? When both male and female reproductive parts are present in the flower, that condition is called bisexual or monoecious or hermaphrodite flower. This is very important. These terms are very important. Okay. And opposite to that, what is unisexual or dioecious flower? Unisexual or dioecious flower are the flower when one of the reproductive part is missing, whether it has male, whether it has female part. So, one of the reproductive part is missing, that condition is called unisexual or dioecious flower. If the stamen, only stamen is present, that condition is called the staminate flower. If only pistil or carpel is present, that flower is called the carpellate flower. So we have multiple examples. So note it down. In this bisexual or monoecious flower, we have example like lily, rose and sunflower. So in unisexual or dioecious flower, we have example like papaya, watermelon, etc. These examples and these terms are very, very important. So I hope this lecture is beneficial for you. This is all about today's lecture. Make sure if you like this lecture, like, share and subscribe my channel, that is Prep Biology. Thank you so much.